We have an absolutely massive and highly urgent breaking weather alert for you right now. As incredibly shocking live broadcast camera footage has just actively captured a completely terrifying massive tornado, violently touching down directly near the highly populated city of Rochester, Minnesota today. Emergency management officials are operating on the absolute highest possible level of maximum alert, as this completely massive, violently rotating atmospheric beast was caught entirely live on remote cameras, actively heavily ripping across the increasingly dark Midwestern landscape. On the sheer absolute magnitude of this completely unprecedented extreme weather event is absolutely staggering, as deeply terrified local residents completely frantically scramble to violently aggressively seek highly secure underground shelter from the massive screaming winds and highly dangerous flying debris. Highly advanced meteorological teams watching the completely unprecedented live video feeds in absolute pure terrifying shock actively heavily confirmed that the violently destructive funnel cloud completely successfully made direct physical contact with the solid ground, instantly actively transforming a highly severe weather watch into an absolute massive terrifying struggle for complete physical survival. To truly comprehend the absolute massive scale of this terrifying natural disaster, you must closely actively look at exactly where this violently aggressive twister actively forcefully decided to violently drop completely out of the pitch-black supercell clouds today. The completely horrifying live camera angles explicitly heavily reveal that the massive destructive tornado was violently aggressively tracking completely directly over a highly critical local commercial airfield, actively completely creating an absolute completely terrifying logistical nightmare for highly panicked emergency aviation authorities. This specific highly vulnerable location is incredibly deeply concerning because standard commercial aviation operating procedures actively heavily dictate that deeply terrified innocent passengers already loaded onto massive commercial aircraft must completely violently remain directly trapped inside the heavy aluminum cabins to actively cautiously wait out the massive violent storm. The completely terrifying, highly explosive reality of a massive active tornado violently aggressively ripping completely straight across an active airport. Tarmac actively forcefully threatens to completely aggressively toss incredibly heavy. Massive commercial airplanes high into the dark sky like completely weightless plastic toys, actively creating a massive absolute tragedy. As highly dedicated extreme weather experts actively violently analyze the completely massive, terrifying live visual data, they are aggressively reporting that the violently destructive tornado is actively heavily entering a highly volatile meteorological phase scientifically known as completely roping out. While this incredibly twisted, wonky physical appearance heavily actively indicates that the absolute massive core rotation is finally slowly beginning to actively weaken the completely violent, highly unpredictable, massive outflow, winds are now aggressively, actively, violently taking completely total control over the massive severe storm system. This absolutely completely heavily means that the incredibly highly dangerous massive twister will violently aggressively whip completely wildly across the heavy open fields, actively violently heavily striking completely unpredictable massive ground targets before it finally successfully completely forcefully dissipates directly into the incredibly dark freezing atmosphere. You absolutely cannot logically completely drop your protective guard for a single agonizing second, because even a weakening, highly twisted thin rope tornado completely fundamentally, violently possesses the absolute pure concentrated physical power to actively, completely, aggressively obliterate heavy concrete structures and violently snap massive heavy utility poles right in half. But the completely terrifying massive atmospheric nightmare absolutely does not violently stop there, because this incredibly massive isolated twister is actively actually just one completely single, violently aggressive component of a much larger, highly volatile regional severe weather outbreak happening today. Highly advanced Doppler radar systems are currently actively violently tracking a completely massive, deeply terrifying multi-cell storm cluster, aggressively, actively pushing completely directly across highly populated regional borders of southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and the massive Midwestern state of Iowa tonight. Brave, highly experienced professional storm trackers and completely dedicated extreme weather intercept teams are currently aggressively, violently driving directly into the massive, highly dangerous, heavy storm cores, desperately, actively trying to forcefully, physically confirm massive, dangerous ground touchdowns to rapidly, actively alert deeply terrified local communities. The incredibly intense atmospheric parameters actively heavily fueling this completely massive, violently explosive, massive weather system are absolutely some of the most incredibly highly intense and completely totally volatile environmental conditions actively heavily observed completely across the entire Midwestern region so far this entire deeply terrifying, massive busy storm season. The incredibly shocking and deeply highly terrifying massive visual reality of actively successfully catching a violently heavy destructive tornado completely live on camera serves as a completely massive, deeply terrifying reminder of the absolute pure raw power of our extremely volatile planetary climate today. State highway patrol officers and local emergency management officials are actively completely aggressively issuing highly desperate and deeply urgent public safety warnings, violently begging all highly vulnerable residents to completely strictly stay actively away from all completely heavy exposed windows and aggressively actively remain completely firmly locked down inside their highly secure interior rooms. You absolutely must fundamentally, logically, completely take these massive, highly dangerous tornado warnings completely, incredibly seriously, and completely actively avoid all highly unnecessary daily travel across the heavily, violently impacted, massive Midwestern region until the incredibly dark, violent skies finally, slowly, aggressively, fully clear. Hit that subscribe button right now, absolutely violently smash the notification bell and stay completely tightly locked to our highly exclusive channel as we continuously, aggressively bring you the absolute latest highly critical emergency updates and deeply exclusive raw, unedited, extreme weather footage directly from the incredibly devastated massive front lines.